Tepetina, La Chica. May kinalaman ang mga reklamo sa nangyaring insidente noong Nobyembre 2024 sa Veterans Memorial Medical Center o VMMC kaugnay sa paglilipat kay Attorney Zelveca Lopez na Chief of Staff ni VP Sara mula VMMC patungo St. Luke's Medical Center. Batay sa resolusyon ng piskalya, lumalabas na wala namang pananakit na nangyari, pagsuway sa utos o kaya'y coercion o intimidation na ginawa ang pangalawang pangulo sa complainant na si Police Lieutenant Colonel Van Jason Villamor.
Behavior of the Vice President Sara Duterte is very normal and expected behavior during that situation. Hello, good day everyone, and welcome back to Psychology and Social Issues. Philip, and in this video, we'll be talking about classifications of behavior. This is the continuation of our previous discussion from our last video. We're still in the introduction to psychology, and I'm going to present different classifications of behavior, and stay tuned until the end because we'll be giving a practical example, an actual example, how these classification, how the understanding this classification of behaviors played an important role in understanding actions or behavior of individuals depending on the situations they are in. Okay, so we'll be, again, since this is social issues, psychology and social issues, I'll be presenting actual news or incident that somehow we can use as an example. Okay, so I'm going to share to you now my slide. Okay, so again, in our last video, we discussed about different goals in studying psychology, and today, in this video, we'll be talking about different classifications of behavior. In psychology, it is very important for psychology practitioners and for those who are not practitioners, who are just simply interested in psychology. We need to understand and classify the behaviors we are going to study. And we have three different classifications of behavior. What are these? So first, we have the affective. Next, we have the behavior. And the third one is the cognitive. So basically, usually, psychology practitioners consider this as, or call this as, the ABC of behavior. A stands for affective, B stands for behavior, and C stands for cognitive behavior. So let's try to understand each of these classification of behavior. So first, we'll be talking about affective. So let's define first what is affective behavior. This refers to feelings or emotions. Coming from the word affect, it means feelings or emotions. Behavior of a person that stems from feelings or emotions is called affective behavior. So basically, if a person behaves out from emotions, whether positive or negative emotions, immediately we consider it as affective. So maybe you've heard the famous phrase that do not make decisions if you're happy or sad. It is because that phrase is coming from this idea that most likely the behaviors that will come out from these feelings or from strong emotions somehow not processed properly. Okay, so maybe you've heard that one. And again, this understanding this one is somehow very important. So affective. Again, we can identify several examples out from affective behavior, like kissing someone. It's a manifestation of your love. Getting angry, shouting out of anger, throwing things out of anger. So these things are an example of effective behavior. Again, Usually, affective behavior are immediate behaviors stem from emotions. Okay, so usually that's the important factor there. However, there are emotions that last longer than usual, so we can still somehow consider that one, especially if it takes a lot of time or days or even months for an individual to cope with it. For example, the loss of loved one. Usually, it would take several weeks, days, several weeks, or even months, depending on the kind of relationship you have with that someone. So basically, the individual still affected, the behavior of the individual still affected by the strong emotions during that period. Okay, so whatever decisions the person may manifest, or behaviors the person may manifest, somehow can still be considered affective. But of course, you have to evaluate properly, because you have to be very careful also. The person might use it as an alibi or as an excuse uh, for one's behavior. Okay, so you have to take note of that. Next, we have the behavior, okay, or the behavioral tendency. So, what is this? This refers to behavioral tendency of a person, acquired behavior through training and repetition that occurs naturally on a person, can be classified as part of behavioral tendency. Okay. So whatever behavior, so by the way, if you notice, most of our behaviors in our day-to-day experiences somehow can be classified as part of our behavioral tendency, especially those behaviors that will come out naturally from us. Meaning we don't need to think about it. We don't need to feel something in order for us to express it. And we have learned this through repetition and could be training. For example, your skills in sports, in playing basketball, in dribbling the ball, in juggling the ball, whatever your sports you have, you learn that out from repetition or practice. For example, another example is the use of skateboard or skating. Um, you didn't immediately learn that one by the first time you use it. So you need to practice in order for you to play with it properly or use it properly. So you need to train, okay? Out from behavior practices. So again, as I mentioned, if you're going to properly observe your own behavior, you can identify like walking, eating. Again, these things don't need uh, cognitive abilities or emotions for you to perform these things. Okay? So again, they are called behavioral tendency. Okay? Let's proceed. Next, the third one and the last classification of behavior called cognitive behavior. This refers to the thoughts of a person from the term cognition, cognitive, is something to do or with the involvement of thinking or mental process. So, behavior that is a product of our thoughts and ways of thinking can be classified as cognitive. So, any behavior that is the result of your mental processes, mental evaluation, analysis, or thinking, that can be classified as cognitive. Okay? So, you are thinking, you are answering an exam, you are deciding whether where to go, left or right, um, choosing something to eat. These things are cognitive behavior. Again, this involves cognitive process. Now, there are behaviors that that manifest the involvement of the three classification. It could be cognitive, affective, and a behavioral tendency. So for example, um, playing sports, okay, that involves behavioral tendency in a competition, ha, in the perspective of a competition. So when you there's a competition involved, usually there is strong emotion involved to it. Okay, because of course you want to win. So you are manifesting behavioral tendency. At the same time, there's affect. And then at the same time, there is also cognitive because you have to think and analyze how you can win as a team or as a player. So usually, again, there are behaviors that manifest the three. Another example is playing musical instrument or playing musical instrument in a band. Okay, so you get to learn, you get to play notes or chords of an instrument. Then, of course, you have to involve your feelings. You have to feel what the music is or would like, what kind of emotions you would like to express out from the music you are playing. At the same time, you are using your cognitive abilities to remember the different chords or the different chord progression and to analyze um, how you are going to express the desired emotions out from the song you are playing. Okay, so usually again, there are behaviors out from it. Okay, so again, remember what are the three different classification of behavior: affect, behavior, and behavior tendency, and cognitive. So the ABC. Now let's proceed. Let's proceed with the actual example. Okay, as I've mentioned earlier, that I'm going to show you an actual example. Okay. Uh, so I have here. I'm going to close now the PowerPoint. I have here news. Again, this since this is social issues as well. So we'll be talking about this one, a news coming from ABS-CBN. So it states that mag-asawang pulis kinasuhan sa pagpatay sa kapwa pulis. Okay, so what's the issue? Why I am using this as an example? It is because um, this is very crucial in a situation. For example, you as a wife or husband, you are entitled of your rights to your partner, to your wife or husband. Okay? And then, however, if your partner or your wife or husband is cheating you and you caught them in act, it is expected that you will develop a strong emotion. For example, anger, strong anger. So right then and there, whatever things that you can do out from that strong emotion, out from that anger, um, that can be considered valid. Okay, I'm not saying that immediately you hurt the person or you end the life of that person. No, I'm not saying. But again, that can be debatable. Okay, that is debatable if right then and there. However, if you caught them at that moment and then you didn't do anything, you waited, for example, an hour, a day, or weeks, or so on and so forth. The question now, it is something to do with murder. Okay, so the earlier that can be homicide. I'm not, by the way, I'm not a lawyer, but usually these are the possible cases. Okay, so the earlier that can be considered homicide because out from your anger. But the second one, no, is you spend an hour before doing something that can be considered murder because of the time element. Okay, in the first example, if you do something right then and there, your behavior can be considered affective or out from emotions. Why? Because of course, it's a normal response of a person being cheated by someone. In that case, the husband or the wife. Okay? So again, I'm not saying that you do this or you end the life of the person by if you every by the time you caught them doing something wrong. Okay? Again, that's debatable. On the other hand, the second one is that yes, there is feelings. You are angry because you caught them cheating. However, there is time element. You didn't do anything yet, and you spend could be minutes, an hour, a day, or weeks before you do something to that person. Then again, because of the time element, people might think that behavior you are manifesting it belongs already to cognitive behavior. Okay? However, again, still debatable because as I mentioned earlier, that there are individuals who linger longer than to their emotions. Okay. Longer than other individuals. We don't have a one size fits all interpretation for this one. Okay. Other person may have experienced that kind of emotion days or weeks. Others may experience that one in months. Okay. Again, as I mentioned, different situation, different individuals, different interpretation. Okay. So again, I will repeat. Um, if you respond immediately, that can be considered effective. But if you in there's an involvement of time element, the behavior might be considered cognitive or mixed. Okay, cognitive and affective. But there's cognitive. Um, it is very some. I would say if I'm the police, again, I'm not a lawyer. I would immediately consider it as a murder, not homicide. Again, because there is thinking, there is planning, so on and so forth. Involvement of cognition. Okay? So let's listen to this news and the explanation of what happened to this one. And we'll try to understand this situation. By the way, I speed it up for 1.25 so that we can just listen faster. Okay?
Well, based on investigation, sabi ng police ay merong pag-amin itong si Lieutenant Colonel na di umano, since according to the chief of police ay hipot yung kanyang asawang police din at itong napatay na in a very delicate situation and that led to the death of them kung sinasabi ng police po. But as to the details po, and I hope you understand the family of the late Master Sergeant Duterte na huwag na munang i-discuss ano po yung naging mali. Suffice to say po na, again, nanonood po tayo na ang tungkol sa ganito itong incident na ito and sabi nga natin na killing somebody out of anger is one thing, but to mutilate his member and then try to hide itong bangkay doon sa kanilang bahay. Traveling from Taguig to Baguio and that's another story.
Okay. Let's just stop there. So take note, ha. The police explained that killing someone out of anger is a different story, but dismembering it and then concealing it is another story. So this is what we mean. So again, immediate, because we expect that in this situation, we assume in this situation that the policeman caught his colleague having an affair with his wife. And then right then and there, the policeman act out that feelings or that strong emotion, that anger. So basically, we can say it's the expected behavior. It's a normal response. Okay? the extent to the behavior wherein to the point of ending someone's life is another question as well, because there are people who cannot really do it, but there are individuals somehow can easily do it, especially if they have experiences with it, and especially in this case a policeman. We expect that this person had prior experiences of ending someone's life. It could be a criminal or anyone. So we expect that this is a normal behavior out from anger, killing someone. However, as the police mentioned, dismembering the body is another story, because um doing it would take time. And another story as well, concealing it by traveling from one location to another location. So imagine from Taguig to Baguio. I'm not familiar with the place, but I believe that would take 2 to 3 hours. Now, correct me if I'm wrong. You comment in the comment section. That would take 2 to 3 hours. Okay. So imagine the time element, the dismembering and the traveling of the body of the victim. Okay, so there's something to do with God. Again, I'm not a lawyer. All of these things can be all or will be debated later on in the court. So, but again, let's just stop on the part that immediate reaction that can be considered effective, dismembering and traveling or concealing the body may involve both cognitive and affective. Okay? So that's another story. And that might be, instead of filing homicide, the police might file murder. And I think there will be another case, concealment. I'm not really sure what's the name, but uh, it's another offense when you conceal the body, when you try to conceal the body. Okay? So I have here another example, very recent. By the way, this example with the policeman happened a month ago. This one very recent, 2 days ago, I believe, from UNTV a day ago. Okay? So, criminal charges laban kay VP Sara Duterte kaugnay ng VMMC incident dinismiss ng Quezon City prosecutor. Okay, so this one a very good example. Let's check.
City Prosecutor's Office ang mga reklamong direct assault, disobedience to authority at grave coercion kina Vice President Sara Duterte at editor na si Police Colonel Raymond Dante Petina Lachika. May kinalaman ang mga reklamo sa nangyaring insidente noong Nobyembre 2024 sa Veterans Memorial Medical Center o VMMC kaugnay sa paglilipat kay Attorney Zilveca Lopez na Chief of Staff ni VP Sara mula VMMC patungo St. Luke's Medical Center. Batay sa resolusyon ng piskalya, lumalabas na wala namang pananakit na nangyari, pagsuway sa utos o kaya'y coercion o intimidation na ginawa ang pangalawang pangulo sa complainant na si Police Lieutenant Colonel Van Jason Villamor. Paliwanag ng piskalya, natural lamang at lehitimong reaksyon ng ginawa ni VP Sara dahil hila ng galit ang ginawa ni Villamor nang tangkain nitong isara ang pintuan ng ambulansya at muntik nang tamaan ang Vice-Presidente. Dahil dito ay hindi kinatigan ng piskalya ang mga reklamo alinsunod na rin sa direktiba ng Department of Justice na kailangang may malakas na ebidensya para maisampa ang anumang kaso sa korte.
Okay, so of course you've heard that one. So let's put it that's in a legal perspective. The explanation has been explained in a legal perspective, but we'll explain it in the perspective of psychology. Okay? So why Sarah's case has been dismissed by Quezon City prosecutor? It's because in the explanation it was explained that the behavior of the Vice President Sara Duterte is very normal and expected behavior during that situation. Okay? Why? It is because, of course, maybe you didn't see the video, but If you remember, there were instances wherein the police attempted to close the door of the ambulance while Sara Duterte is still there. Okay? So, of course, if you are the vice president who deserve the utmost respect, yet you haven't received it during that time, and then there's an attempt of hurting you, it is expected that you get angry. Okay? So, whatever behavior that will come out, we expect that's coming from or considered affective behavior. Okay? The issue uh might come out when again there's an involvement of time element. Or say for example, let's say 30 minutes after, let's just say that time. 30 minutes after, for example, the police attempted to close and then Sarah didn't react and waited for 30 minutes or an hour and then suddenly react to the police, do something to the police, that's another story. Okay? Why? Because of the time element, the police or the prosecutor might think there is that the behavior now will become cognitive and affective or both. Again, the behavior now might become cognitive or could be both. Okay? So that will be somehow debatable, an issue that uh, will be debated by lawyers in the court. Okay, so I hope you get to understand the different classifications of behavior out from the examples we have presented. Okay, and if you have questions, if you have suggestions, if you have interest or topics of your interest, please comment down below for us to tackle and discuss about it. Okay, so please share this video and by the way, like and please do subscribe to my channel, Psychology and Social Issues. Thank you very much and see you in our next video.